Hello, everybody. How's it going? Ben Gothard here, founder and CEO of Gothard Enterprise, author of COI 20. And today I'm talking with the magnificent, the awesome, the Hollister wearing man, Chris Jones. How's it going, brother? How you doing?
Good, Danny boy. How you doing?
Awesome, man. Thank you for asking. So, Chris and I were just talking lately about, some things in business that were obstacles to success. And one of those things is negativity in business, right? And Chris and I, as you all know, are some of the most optimistic, positive, high energy people that you will find. Okay. And so when we come up to negativity in business, we do some things to skirt on around that. Okay, so we wanted to share that with you because if you let negativity creep into your business and pervade your wall of optimism and positivity and progress, then that could be problematic for you. So, Chris, have you encountered negativity in your entrepreneurship journey, and what do you do about it?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest factors when it comes to, as a general rule over the kind of entrepreneurship was maybe when I was starting my online business, there was more factors of encouragement that I was looking for, more kind of motivation within my business from friends and family to just give me that edge to be, to say, go on, Chris, you can do this. Instead of that, there was that doubt, there was that negativity, almost kind of discouragement in pulling me back towards my successes as opposed to pushing me forward. And it's, those, even the smallest of negative thoughts can get to you. When friends and family hear that you're going on a business venture, you do not expect them to say, don't do it. You don't expect that. And while you could, exactly like you and I, could be the most optimistic people in the world, right in the back of your mind, it's like that niggly thing it's kind of telling you, should you do it? Should you be going on this venture? Is this journey right for you? And it's only because the people around you that are displaying these negative thoughts are the ones that are putting that upon you. So the most important thing is just to concentrate on your vision, keep connected with your belief system and know exactly where you're going. You, not anybody else, you. And I think by just maintaining the thought of where you're going and the dream that you want to capture, I think that's enough to block out all factors of negativity and just push forward with what you want to do. So keep striking with a big fat smile on that beautiful face.
Absolutely. And Chris, I think you're absolutely right that you really, in the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey, you don't expect people to say no. You can't do this, or to discourage you from chasing your dreams, but it truly happens more than you think, right? And some of the most mentally harmful can actually come from the people closest to you, right? Because a lot of the times they just don't understand, right? Whether it be your parents, whether it be your friends, whether it be your spouse, whether it be, anybody that you look up to as a role model to you or a mentor. The doubt of those people can be very damaging to your own image of yourself and to your journey, right? And so how do you get past that? How do you mentally get past that, right? And so I want to offer just a few words of both advice and encouragement on that, because I've had to struggle with that in my own life. I'm a college student and I'm surrounded by 20-something-year-olds who most of the time they don't see the vision. They don't think that, one, they probably don't think that I can do it, and they definitely don't think that they can do it. And so, one piece of advice is it is not always what people are actually saying to you that should be what you get from the conversation, right? Because a lot of the times what people say is a reflection of how they feel on the inside. Okay. And so you shouldn't take that to heart. You should take that with a grain of salt, because a lot of people, a lot of the time, are scared themselves. They're scared that, one, you're not going to be able to do it, or they're scared that you will be able to do it and that they're not going to be able to do it. Okay. And so when they're talking to you about it, there might be, and I'm not saying people are bad inherently, not at all. But what I am saying is that a lot of the times what they say to you versus what you should take away from that conversation are two completely different things.
That's a solid point. I think, like, the reflection of what other people think. They try to bounce their internal fears, their kind of, oh my God, I'm so scared of doing it. All of that stuff that comes along with the person over there that's telling you not to embark on the journey that you know you're going to be successful and enjoy. It's because they have a sense of discomfort, disbelief, and all of the factors of stress that is built up in their soul. And they try to push that upon you because they're afraid to take this simple step into action within their life. So don't ever be put off by anybody that tells you don't do it. When someone tells you don't do it and you have a big vision of what you're going for, that is just an even bigger push just to take a bigger stride to where you want to go, baby. Don't just ignore all of that haters. Brush it off like it's a little bunch of twigs. Don't pay attention to any of that. If you have a strong belief in something that even you think 1% could change your life, or even 0.1%, you better go for it in full throttle, baby. Don't stop until you reach every single one of your goals.
Absolutely. And so, just some technical things that you can do, some actionable tips that you can do in order to kind of reduce that negativity in your life are: one, whenever you do hear that negativity, okay, write down what they said, write down what stuck with you. Okay. And then try to put yourself in their shoes. Try to think about it from their perspective. Okay. Have they tried that before? The thing that they're giving you advice on, or that they're giving you their opinion on, have they actually done it before? Have they been on that journey? If they have been on that journey, then maybe they're trying to offer you some constructive criticism in order to help you avoid some of the mistakes that they made. However, and this is what happens most of the time, if they have not been on that journey, if they have not done the things that you're trying to do, then they are not, in my opinion, qualified to give you advice on that specific subject. Okay. And I'll give you an example. If I was to go and ask the, Mark Cuban, for example, if I was to ask him something about entrepreneurship and he were to actually answer, you bet your ass I would listen to every single thing that he would say on the matter. Okay. I would listen to everything. I would take notes because he's done it and he's been extremely successful as an entrepreneur. Okay. Now, for example, if, on the other hand, I were to go talk to one of my friends who, from high school, and I were to ask them, about writing a book, for example, where I know they haven't written a book, okay, why would I take their advice on that? They have no experience in that. They have no expertise in that one specific place. So just know who you're talking to, right? Write it down and just think about where they're coming from and what they're actually trying to say. Chris, do you have some actionable tips that you can provide?
I'm just going to address quickly because I know a lot of people want to know about how to deal with Amazon FBA reviews. This is a quick 20-second tip for those who are wondering. So when you get a negative review, whether that's 1 star or 2 star, just try not to focus solely on, unprofessionalism of replying to that review in like an instant kind of anger. Give it 24 hours, give it 48 hours if you need to. Contact Amazon to get a removal in place. If you can't get that review removed, then reply in a very professional manner. Address the problem, see what you can do good as a business, and offer, great customer service, excel in that area always. And then if that review is still standing, then just build on the more higher quality reviews, such as the 4 and 5 star. So don't sit around waiting for that to just disappear. Start to look for bigger reviews, better reviews, and start to capitalize on that. So your 5 star builds up and your 1 star goes all the way down. So people see more 5 stars than your 1 stars. So don't worry too much about that. Actionable tips. One thing that's really helped me to stay afloat of my positivity boat is just, if I can be completely honest, cutting out the people who were in my life that were a drain and a lag to me. Now, to some people out there who potentially watch this, that might seem impossible. But once you start to distance yourself, whether that's throughout a verbal discussion or you just distance yourself as kind of just move away like a ghost, it's going to benefit you. If you're hanging around with people who are doing drugs, and it's not the path that you want to take, but you're still in that peer group. And I always say, like, a group of 6 people that you're hanging around with, you are just part of that pack. So even though it's a group and it's strength in numbers, it's not always the case. I think when you're in a pack and you're in your worst place mentality, in a mental state, then it's harder to break away. So you have to be stronger than ever, more powerful in your mind and your physical sense to move away from that and kind of become the lone wolf. But that's something that's really helped me. So, I really, really limit the amount of people I hang around with. And I think, sacrifices have to be made in order to get to where you want to be. So don't ever be afraid to say no to things that you don't want to do. And yeah, just make sure you're doing everything that lines up with where you want to go in the future.
To that, I agree with Chris's statement completely, because some people, they're just not going to help you and really be a good, whether it be influence on you or somebody that you hang around with, and they're not going to help you get to the places that you need to go to. And yeah, it's harsh, but think about this. Would you rather somebody think that you're a cool person and have that be the pinnacle of your life, or would you rather accomplish your dreams? And would you rather do those things that you've always wanted to do and go to new heights and new levels that you've never been to before, right? And so to me, it's a clear choice. And it's difficult. It's absolutely difficult to say to somebody that you've been hanging out with for a long time, look, man or lady, I just don't think you're a good influence on me, and we're going to have to limit the amount of time that we're going to spend together, right? And that's a hard conversation to have. But you have to be strong if you want to be an entrepreneur, right? Yeah, Nobody ever said this is going to be easy. And so if you want to get to that next level, then sometimes you might have to limit the amount of time spent with somebody. Now, on the other hand, some people, they're not going to try to drag you down. They love you and they want to see you succeed. Okay. And so while they might not be like business wise, technically the best person to give you advice, they're still a loved one. They're still somebody who you should keep near and dear. Right. And those kinds of relationships, they might be afraid that you're going to leave them behind, but that's up to you. That's up to you to, once you have become successful, remember where you came from. And to stay humble and to never, ever turn your back on those who loved you, especially when you were starving, right? There's a quote, if you can't starve with me now, then you won't eat with me then, right? And so, those people that stick with you from the beginning, those people that believe in you and that love you and that give you encouragement and advice and support when you are not successful, then if you are the type of person to, when you get successful, to blow them off, then shame on you for that. Shame on you for that.
I think one of the biggest things that people struggle with within this, if they're in a relationship and both parties in that relationship, they begin in a 9-to-5 job, and whether the male or female within that relationship goes through a transition period and starts a business, whether it be online, offline, or just a new project or venture. Now that can put a lot of pressure on the actual relationship. It can go from very, very ordinary for the twosome to very extraordinary for one in terms of the way they see things. So if you are, and I know a lot of people are in this placement, because I've had a lot of messages like, what do I do with my partner? Because they can't understand my vision. They can't see what I want to do. It's causing arguments. It's causing friction. I'm afraid that it's not going to last longer. Now, this is tough. Now, the best thing you can do is talk it out to the point of where you can really ingrain within the other person's mind what you're going for. And this is harsh. But if you have that conversation too much and the other person understands but doesn't want to push you towards where you want to go, then unfortunately, if you're strong enough and have the will to do so, then you're going to have to break up that relationship to save yourself from going downhill to somewhere that you don't want to go. So that's something that's going to be one of the biggest challenges I'm seeing when it comes to couples and things like that. So, but for the people who are 100% committed and they're in relationships, and then that is gold. If they've got the same mindset, same connection, then that is a true winner. So make sure you grasp onto that as much as you possibly can. And I'm sure if you want to talk about any of that, Ben and I would be more than happy to do so. So please don't hesitate to reach out.
Absolutely. And so, I just want to offer, one more piece of advice just from my own journey. And again, I never talk about things that I do not have experience in, and I'm never claiming to be an expert in any of this. The only thing that I can do is share what's worked for me and what hasn't worked. Okay. And so one thing that has worked very well, and it's helped me to improve my mindset and to really take my game to the next level, is reaching out to potential mentors, right? And reaching out to people who they know what you're going through because they've already done it or they've done something very similar, and they can relate to your journey and they can offer you advice and help you course correct and improve the progress on your journey, right?
Yeah.
Because mentors are very powerful assets to have, okay? And so, if maybe you're thinking, oh, well, what does that mean? How do I even go about finding somebody or approaching somebody? Okay, maybe join a local group, or think of the most successful person who you can think of, or ask your friend who the most successful person they can think of is, right? Look around. Maybe it might be going on social media sites. Maybe it might be, doing this side or the other thing, but identify the person, reach out to them. Say, hey, can I buy you a cup of coffee? Or can I get you lunch, right? Offer to do something for them, offer value to them. And then when you get there, ask them this question, okay? And this is very, very specific question, and it's important that you ask them this question. What is your story? Okay? That is one of the most powerful questions that I have ever come across. And Chris can tell you from experience. I asked him that the first time we met. And, now look at us. Months later down the road, we're still talking, we're still buddies. And so, it's a powerful question. And so listen to what the individual says, because one, you want to show them that you care about them. You care about the relationship between the two of you. And two, you're seeing if this person is somebody who you want to be around and who you want to get advice from. And if the answer to that last question is yes, you do want advice from them, then you ask them at the end of their story, after you've listened intently, you ask them this question: will you be my mentor? Okay. And then if you've done this correctly, right? What is your story? Will you be my mentor? Most of the time they're going to say yes. If not, it probably wasn't a good fit anyways. And then they say yes. And then now you get to ask this person questions, and you have somebody that can help you on your journey. Okay. So how to deal with negativity. Chris, if you could give like a 1-sentence summarization of how to deal with negativity in business, go.
I would say to embrace it as fast as you can in business, so you can learn faster to display certain actions of who to trust when going into certain relationships in business and who not to trust, and certain things to put across to certain personalities and certain things not to. And more experience, the better. So whether you're going into a new business, a new relationship, whatever it is, do it fast, do it with passion, do it with purpose, and you will learn from great experiences when you do. So peace out, everyone. Have a fantastic week.
Absolutely. So thank you, everybody, for listening. Just remember, if there is ever a time when you are dealing with negativity in business, it does not define you. You define how that experience affects you. So don't let it get you down. Power through it, and let's build a better world together. Thanks, everybody.